Hello friends, let us now learn about a new topic today about the androgens. So if you see, androgens are very important. So what do you think androgens are? See, androgens are anything related to testosterone, and there are two different types of androgens. So we have a natural androgens and we also have synthetic androgens. We have natural and synthetic androgens. So in the natural androgens, the most important is about testosterone. This testosterone has good oral absorption, it has high first pass metabolism. An important thing is because it has high first pass metabolism, it cannot be used by oral route. So it should always be used in other routes other than oral routes. So what are the other routes in which you should use this testosterone? It should be used as gel form, or it can be used as transdermal patch or buccal tablets. Okay, so once you have learned about the natural form, we also have synthetic form. So in the synthetic form, there is first form which is alkylation of natural testosterones. So in the alkylation of natural testosterones, we will take the natural testosterone and we will alkylate it. We will add an alkyl group to it. So once you do that, these will not undergo first pass metabolism. So because of that, they can be used orally. Examples of those substances which are alkylated, uh, which are formed by alkylation of normal testosterones include methyl testosterone, fluoroxy, fluoxymisterone, oxandrolone, danazol, stanzolol. All these are the examples by which the testosterone is alkylated. Okay, these are alkylated testosterones. The side effects of these alkylated testosterones include: one is hepatotoxicity. This hepatotoxicity is mainly due to cholestatic jaundice. Cholestatic jaundice causes hepatotoxicity. Then we have hepatocellular carcinoma has a side effect. It also decreases the high density lipoprotein and thus causes atherogenesis. Next, we will also take the natural testosterones and we will add an ester group to the natural testosterone. So if we add an ester group to natural testosterone, this will increase the lipid solubility. Okay, and as a result, because of increased lipid solubility, it can be given by IM route, intramuscular route, or by depot, in the depot by slow release form. So it is given once in 2 weeks. If it is given once in 2 weeks, the examples of the one which is given once in 2 weeks is cypionate. And we can also give a compound once in 10 weeks. We can give undeconate once in 10 weeks. Undeconate can be given once in 10 weeks. Then all these are longer acting. What is longest acting? Undeconate is longest acting among all the testosterones. Then we also have one more which is called as ethernate. So all these are the examples of natural and synthetic testosterones, which is very important. So once we have learned about the natural and synthetic testosterones, now let us learn about the uses of these testosterones. So uses of these testosterones is also very important. So coming to uses, we have one which is male hypogonadism. It can be used in male hypogonadism. It can be primary or secondary hypogonadism, that is testicular failure. So here if you see, because of testicular failure there is decreased testosterone, so you are giving testosterone in the other form, either natural or synthetic. Next, you can also use it in female hypogonadism. This will increase the libido because the female hypogonadism is due to the absence of androgens. So when you give androgens, so even then you can uh, normalize the sexual activity. Then if you see athletes, in the athletes this can cause steroid abuse. Okay, there can be steroid abuse can be done in athletes, especially among all these testosterones. There are some testosterones which have natural action, natural anabolic effect. So they are nandrolone decanoate. Nandrolone decanoate has natural anabolic effect. So it has maximum anabolic effect. So these are abused in athletes. Even the tetrahydrogesterone also has anabolic activity. Then it can also be used in resistant anemia, that is aplastic anemia, or it can also be used in sickle cell anemia. In all these, both these anemias, mainly here there is decreased because of anemia, there will be wasting. So because of the anabolic effect that is present in these testosterone analogs, we can give them. But these are now replaced by erythropoietin. Now these can also be used in hereditary angioneurotic edema. The drug of choice of this hereditary angioneurotic edema is danazol. And you can also give any alkylated testosterone. Danazol is a drug of choice, but you can give any alkylated testosterone, because if you see, this hereditary angioneurotic edema is mainly due to C1 inhibitor deficiency. Okay, because of C1 inhibitor deficiency, this can cause um, edema of larynx, edema of lips, edema of throat. It is a hypersensitivity reaction. So because of that, so these alkylated testosterones will increase C1 inhibitor, and as a result you can use it in them. Then these are also used in the treatment of osteoporosis earlier, but now this is replaced by bisphosphonates. Now we do not use it in osteoporosis. Next, what are the side effects of this testosterone analogs? Side effects include, these will cause acne, then these will also cause sodium water retention, thus leading to edema. Precocious puberty is one of the side effect of using androgen. So when you get a patient of precocious puberty, always take this as one of the differential diagnosis. Then due to androgens, this will cause premature closure of epiphysis. Due to premature closure of epiphysis, this can cause stunted growth. Then what are the different side effects in males and females? In males, it can lead to benign prostatic hyperplasia, because androgens will cause growth of, or increase in number of cells of platelets, thus causing benign prostatic hyperplasia and prostatic carcinoma also, because benign prostatic hyperplasia occurs because of median lobe hyperplasia, whereas prostate carcinoma occurs due to the hyperplasia of peripheral zone of prostate. So as a result, because of these because of these androgens, so these will increase the growth of growth of prostatic cells. Either it is, if it is median lobe, then this causes benign prostatic hyperplasia. When they increase the growth of peripheral lobe, they causes prostatic carcinoma. Then these anabolic not anabolic, sorry, these androgens also have causes gynecomastia, because these androgens can get converted into estrogen in our body. So because they get converted into estrogen, estrogen is responsible for the growth of breast, so this causes gynecomastia. Then because of androgens, this can also cause oligozoospermia in males, because these androgens converting into estrogens, so this will also cause oligozoospermia in males. Now coming to females. In the females, it can cause deepening of voices, like male like voices can occur. In the females, there can be decreased breast size, and hirsutism can occur, and there can be menstrual irregularities. So if you see this androgens in the females, they do not get converted into estrogen most commonly. So because of this, these androgens will inhibit the breast growth. Okay, these will deepen the voice. So these are the actions of androgens, not the estrogens. Okay, then uh, if you use this for prolonged period, if you use testosterone for prolonged period, these can cause testicular atrophy. How does they cause testicular atrophy? These testosterone analogs will cause feedback inhibition of uh, gonadotropins on hypothalamus and pituitary. So because of that there is decreased gonadotropins, that is there is decreased FSH and LH. So because of decreased FSH and LH, this will decrease the growth of testicular tissues. So obviously there will be testicular atrophy. So after this, if you see, one more important thing is about anabolic steroids. Okay, so if you see in the anabolic steroids, so these are mainly these anabolic steroids include synthetic androgens. So these synthetic androgens are mainly they are high anabolic is to high androgenic ratio. Okay, they are synthetic androgens, so they have high high anabolic to androgen ratio. So that is, anabolic to androgen ratio will be equal to 1. That means they are used in the growth of the tissues. They can cause growth of the tissues better than the androgenic action. So the examples are, they can be remembered by the mnemonic NOS: N for nandrolone, which is given IM; O for oxymetholone; S for stanzolol; E for ethyl So oxymetholone, stanzolol and ethyl are given orally. The other side effects are, it causes jaundice and also worsens the lipid profile. It is also misused by athletes to increase the muscle strength. But now this abuse has been stopped. Then what are the uses? Uses are, it can be given in catabolic state, especially in the acute illness or severe trauma for the building of muscle mass. It can also be given in anemia, but right now the use has been decreased. Use of these steroids, anabolic steroids in anemia has been decreased because of availability of some other good products when compared to this anabolic steroids. Now coming to the next thing, which is about danazol. So what is this danazol? Danazol is orally active ethisterone derivative. It is orally active ethisterone derivative. So this danazol will actually bind to androgen receptors, and it binds to androgen receptors and it induces the androgen specific mRNA production. So when it induces the androgen specific mRNA production, so this will have the androgenic action. So this androgenic action will inhibit the gonadotropin secretion. Thus, there is decreased gonadotropin secretion. That means there is decreased LH and FSH secretion. Because of this, there is decreased estrogen. So decreased estrogen causes endometrial atrophy. So they can be used in conditions where there is increased endometrial tissue or increased estrogen activity. So it is used in endometriosis and fibrocystic disease of breast. Then this danazol also decreases C1 esterase. Okay, because it decreases C1 esterase, so it can be used as drug of choice in hereditary angioneurotic edema. Then this danazol also increases procoagulant factor 8. So this procoagulant factor 8 will cause coagulation. So where is it used? It is used in conditions where there is decreased coagulation. That is, it is used in bleeding episodes, or it can be used in conditions where bleeding is most common symptom. So it can be used in hemophilia where factor 8 deficiency. It can be used in idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura and Christmas disease. What are the side effects? Side effects are, in males, if you see, in males it can cause decreased libido. It decreases libido in males, and in females, because of endometrial atrophy, it causes complete amenorrhea, and it is an androgen by itself, right? It is an analog of testosterone. So as a result, it causes androgenic side effects like it can cause acne, hirsutism, decreased breast size. It can deepen the voice, edema and weight gain. Then it can also increase the hepatic enzymes. So this is about the danazol. Then, then now let us learn about anti-androgens. So in the anti-androgens we have two derivatives. One, we have progesterone derivatives. Second, we have synthetic derivatives. So if you see in the progesterone derivatives, older drugs are not used now. Any of the older drugs, we are not using them now. So what are the older drugs? They are cyproterone acetate. The cyproterone acetate, normally it inhibits androgen receptors. It does not inhibit androgens, it inhibits androgen receptors. So because of decreased action on androgen receptors, inhibiting androgen receptors, so it also has one more activity, which is progestational activity. That is, it also inhibits follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. So it is used in the treatment of hirsutism, okay, as a component of OCPs. Then one more example is migesterol also. What are the synthetic? We have flutamide, then we have bicalutamide, enzalutamide, apalutamide, nilutamide, doralutamide. So all these are the examples of synthetic anti-androgens which can be used. So what are the uses of these anti-androgens? All these anti-androgens can be used in hirsutism, because hirsutism is due to increased androgens. Even prostatic cancer also we can use them, because prostatic cancer is due to androgens, right? So when you use anti-androgens, their effect will get nullified. So, what are the side effects? Side effects is these anti-androgens can cause impotence, they can cause gynecomastia. Okay, there are some special side effects also. This flutamide and cyproterone, both these can cause hepatotoxicity. They both are hepatotoxic. Then if you see encalutamide, this encalutamide has a side effect of epilepsy. It can cause epilepsy. Then we have nilutamide. Nilutamide can cause interstitial pneumonia. So all these are the side effects of anti-androgens. Now, after anti-androgens, next important thing is about one more, which is called as abiraterone. We have something called as abiraterone. This abiraterone, it is also an anti-androgen which inhibits 17 alpha hydroxylase 5 1720 lyase. It inhibits two enzymes, one 17 alpha hydroxylase and 1720 lyase, and thus it decreases the synthesis of cortical androgens. So this abiraterone is approved for castration resistant refractory prostate carcinoma. So so this is about abiraterone. So one important sentence we will learn about the flutamide. So if you see, this flutamide is a synthetic anti-androgen which we have already seen, and this will inhibit the binding of testosterone and dihydrotestosterone to androgen receptors. Even all the anti-androgens will inhibit the binding of testosterone to its receptors. Okay. Then the next group of drugs which we are going to discuss here is about 5 alpha reductase. So we have 5 alpha reductase inhibitors. So what are they? So 5 alpha reductase inhibitors, normally 5 alpha reductase will convert testosterone to dihydroxy testosterone. So once they so that is their action. Okay, but these 5 alpha reductase inhibitors, example being finasteride. Okay, so this finasteride is a competitive inhibitor of 5 alpha reductase, actually type 2. It is a competitive inhibitor of 5 alpha reductase type 2 in male urogenital tract. Okay, so this will inhibit 5 alpha reductase, and thus it inhibits the conversion of testosterone to dihydroxy testosterone. As a result, there is decreased dihydroxy testosterone in plasma and prostate. So in this patient, if you give this, the plasma LH level and testosterone are normal, will become normal. Okay, here the clinical response for this 5 alpha reductase inhibitors takes 6 to 12 months to occur. So what are the pharmacokinetic actions? Pharmacokinetics are it can be given orally and it is metabolized in liver. Side effects include it causes decreased libido, and decreased impotence. So as a result, it will also cause decreased volume of ejaculation. So because of decreased libido and decreased impotence, the these risk is less when compared to androgen receptor antagonists. These gynecomastia and skin rash are also rare in 5 alpha reductase inhibitors. Okay, so what is the use of this 5 alpha reductase inhibitors? The uses include you can use it for they are slow clinical response. They have slow clinical response because they take around 6 to 12 months to act. So as a result, they are not given alone. They are always combined with 5 alpha sorry 5 alpha reductase inhibitor finasteride combines with alpha 1 antagonist terazosin for the treatment of benign prostatic hyperplasia and prostate carcinoma or prostatic tumor. This finasteride in BPH, it will decrease the prostatic size and thus increase the peak urinary rate flow. Because of decreasing prostate size, the urine can flow properly. So as a result, it increases the urinary flow rate. Then this is also used in hirsutism. Okay, this can also be used in hirsutism because hirsutism is caused due to increased testosterone analogs. So this will inhibit the action and as a result it can be used in hirsutism. This finasteride also inhibits 5 alpha reductase 1 in air. In hair, it inhibits the 5 alpha reductase 1. So as a result, it causes hair growth. So it is the drug of choice for androgenic alopecia. Next 5 alpha reductase inhibitor is dutasteride. So this dutasteride will block 5 alpha reductase 1 and 2 and this is metabolized by CYP enzymes and it has faster clinical response when compared to others. So what are the others? The others include mainly they are tetosteride, then we have bexlosteride, then we have isonosteride. So all these are the examples of 5 alpha reductase inhibitors. Okay, the next important group of drugs are about drugs used for erectile dysfunction. So what are the drugs which are used for erectile dysfunction? So how is sexual arousal occurs? So during sexual arousal, there is blood flow to the penis increases. So this blood flow to the penis will is mainly due this there is blood flow of penis and this blood flow of penis is mainly due to parasympathetic nerves, noradrenergic, non-cholinergic nerves, parasympathetic, non-adrenergic and noradrenergic, non-cholinergic nerves and vascular endothelium, and all these also secrete nitric oxide. So this nitric oxide and flowing of blood, this will cause relaxation of cavernous sinusoids, thus causing rigid and erected penis. So this act is also activated by acetylcholine and prostaglandin. This occurs normally. So what are the treatment for this erectile dysfunction? In erectile dysfunction, there can be problem in any of these processes. Okay, so one, you can give androgens. So anyways, we need androgens for their action, especially for hypogonadism. You can give androgens, but they are not the first line. Then we have phosphodiesterase 5 inhibitors. These phosphodiesterase 5 inhibitors, these will normally, if you see, nitric oxide activates cyclic GMP. This cyclic GMP is degraded or it is degraded to 5-GMP by phosphodiesterase 5 enzyme. Okay, whenever there is increased, this cyclic AMP will cause relaxation. Okay, and once it gets degraded, the relaxation is stopped. But now you are giving phosphodiesterase inhibitors. These will inhibit the conversion of cyclic GMP to 5-GMP and as a result they will increase the cyclic GMP. So because of increased cyclic GMP, it activates dephosphorylation of myosin light chain. So as a result, myosin cannot interact with actin, thus it causes relaxation. What are the examples? Examples are sildenafil. Actually, sildenafil is the drug of choice. You can also give tadalafil and vardenafil. Now, we will learn a few points about the important drug, that is sildenafil. Okay, so sildenafil, if you see, this sildenafil has, if you first we will see the pharmacokinetics. This sildenafil is metabolized by CYP enzymes. Okay, if you give nitrate therapy, so this sildenafil is contraindicated in two things. One, in congestive coronary artery disease, sorry, it is contraindicated in coronary artery disease and in nitrate therapy. What are the side effects? Side effects, sir, it can be given in, sorry, it can cause vasodilatation, right? It causes vasodilatation. So whenever it causes vasodilatation in the head, it can cause headache. In the nose, it can cause nasal congestion. It can also cause vasodilatation of facial blood vessels, causing facial flushiness. It can cause dizziness, and because of vasodilatation of peripheral blood vessels, they will decrease peripheral resistance. They will cause pooling of blood in the lower limbs, causing hypotension or decreased BP. They can also cause loose motions. They will also cause relaxation of lower esophageal sphincter, causing gastric esophageal reflux disease and dyspepsia. They can cause MI also. These phosphodiesterase 5 inhibitors 5 is involved in photoreceptor transduction. So these 5 phosphodiesterase 5 inhibitors, these will cause impairment of color vision. Especially they cause impairment of blue green discrimination. Okay, so they also cause non-arteritic ischemic optic neuropathy. They can also cause non-arteritic ischemic optic neuropathy, that is sudden visual loss has side effect. Okay, this is important. Then they should be used in caution in some diseases like liver disease, kidney disease, okay, in peptic ulcers, in bleeding disorders, in leukemia, in sickle cell anemia, and in myeloma. In all these cases, you should use them in caution. So, what are the uses of this sildenafil? Sildenafil is used in erectile dysfunction, and it is also used in pulmonary arterial vasodilatation. Okay, so this is about the sildenafil. So, after sildenafil, let us now learn about the next analog, which is for prostaglandin E1 analog, or you can also call it as alprostadil. Okay, so this is given as direct injection into corpus cavernosus using a fine needle. With the help of a small needle, you give a direct injection into corpus cavernosus. That will cause erection. It is actually less painful. So side effects of this are it can cause penile fibrosis and priapism, but they are actually rare. So let us now learn about the next drug, phentolamine. So this phentolamine is also used in um, erectile dysfunction. So this phentolamine is actually an alpha blocker which causes vasodilatation. So this produces penile tumescence. So because it produces penile tumescence, it will permit intercourse. Okay, so this is reversed. This phentolamine can be reversed by injecting phenylephrine into the corpus cavernosum, because phenylephrine is an alpha analog. So as a result, by injecting it, it will neutralize the alpha blocker, which is phentolamine. Then you can also reverse the action by aspirating blood from the corpus cavernosum because of decreased level of drug in the penis. Then the other side effects here, it can cause local hematoma, infections, paresthesias, penile tumescence. Then the next drug is 5-HT2 antagonist, which is trazodone. the side effect of this trazodone is it can cause priapism. Then, then we also have next drug which is opioid antagonist. So the next drug is, okay, there is one more drug uh, which is 5-HT2 antagonist, which is ketanserin. Then the sixth drug is opioid antagonist. So this opioid antagonist is mainly, example is naltrexone. Then we also have, melanocortin peptide antagonist. So what is this melanocortin peptide antagonist? So this has three types. We have melanocortin peptides, that is melanocortin peptide receptor and their effect. So first type is alpha MSH, then ACTH and miscellaneous. All these are melanocortin peptides. So alpha MSH is acts on MC1 receptor and it will cause pigmentation. See, alpha MSH will act on MC1 receptor and cause pigmentation. ACTH will act on MC2 receptors and they cause steroid synthesis. Some other type of MCPs will act on MC3, 4, 5 receptors and they cause central sexual arousal. Then we have to learn about brimelotonide. What is this? Bremelanotide. So this is a non-selective melanocortin peptide receptor agonist. In the beginning, it is used as a tanning cream, but now it is used for central sexual arousal effect. The use of this is, it is used in hypo it is it is used in hypoactive sexual desire disorder in females. Then it is also used as subcutaneous, in the subcutaneous route. It is given 45 minutes before the expected intercourse. Then the next drug is efamelanotide. This efamelanotide is approved by a Food Drug Association in 2019. The alpha melanocortin stimulating hormone analog. So it activates MC1 receptor, which will increase the pigmentation. Okay, it is used in erythropoietic porphyria. Thus, it increases pain-free exposure of sunlight. It can also be given as subcutaneous implant, in this case over the anterior superior iliac crest. So this is about melanotide. Okay, so these are important topics about the androgens. So thank you guys for watching my lecture. Thank you.